It seems like the high-growth bets are finally hitting the brakes.
The math is brutal, but the real question is whether this correction signals a true shift or just temporary noise.
Welcome back, I'm Bella.
And I'm Michael. This show's scripted and produced with AI, built by Taha Baba, pulling today's stories straight from blog.tahababa.com.
If you want these landing in your feed most days, go ahead and subscribe. Let's get into it. It looks like the semiconductor sector, specifically stocks like Micron and Sandisk, is showing some signs of correction after that prolonged rally.
Indeed, it raises the usual question about peak valuations, especially when you consider the massive growth that was priced in before this shift.
And it feels tied directly to the looming Federal Reserve decision. Are you seeing this correction as more of a market correction or just sector-specific volatility?
I think it's a mix. The rate decision adds immediate volatility, but the underlying correction suggests investors are shifting from pure growth bets to more defensive positioning.
So, for the average investor, what does this volatility mean for adjusting their portfolio strategy right now?
It means reassessing risk. Given semiconductors power everything from AI to consumer devices, this correction could ripple across the broader tech market, making defensive positioning more attractive.
We have a huge story coming out of the infrastructure side of AI this week. Thinking Machines Lab just secured a $2 billion seed round, valuing the company at $10 billion.
That is massive. It really underscores that the top talent is starting to pivot away from established giants and focus on building the foundational layers of AI instead of just applying the existing models.
And they're doing it through Tinker, their platform for fine-tuning open-source models. It sounds like they are positioning themselves to be the backbone for enterprise innovation as AI adoption accelerates.
Exactly. If platforms like Tinker become the standard for customizing AI workflows at scale, that shifts the power dynamic considerably. It's less about the final model and more about the infrastructure that runs it.
It makes you wonder how quickly organizations are going to catch up to that infrastructure layer. How is your organization preparing to leverage those customizable models in your operations right now? Wow, Applied Intuition just doubled its valuation to $15 billion by raising that massive $600 million. It sounds like virtual testing is really the game changer for autonomous vehicles.
It is. The key takeaway is that their platform reduces real-world testing costs by 98%, which fundamentally shifts the economics of development. It's moving from physical testing to digital simulation.
That makes sense. With partnerships spanning 18 global automakers, it seems like this isn't just a trend, but an absolute necessity if autonomous systems are going to scale up.
Exactly. Companies that master scalable simulation tools are going to lead the charge as robotaxis become more mainstream. It's about iteration speed.
So, it really puts pressure on other industries to figure out where they stand in adopting these simulation tools right now.
It certainly does. The real question isn't about the technology itself, but how quickly our respective industries are willing to integrate it.
I was reading about AI therapy, and it sounds absolutely revolutionary. The idea of having 24/7 free mental health support is incredible.
It is certainly convenient, Bella, but the real friction point is whether that convenience translates into quality care. Studies show people prefer the AI responses, which suggests a gap exists in traditional therapy or just a preference for immediate availability.
But that immediately brings up the safety concerns. If people are relying on these chatbots for coping strategies, what kind of safeguards do we need before they become a standard?
Exactly. The debate isn't just about access, it's about normalization. If AI becomes the default, we risk normalizing unregulated mental health care without the necessary human oversight.
So the big question is whether AI can truly serve as a bridge to human therapy, or if it poses a risk of undermining the necessary human element in mental health treatment.
Precisely. The immediate challenge for the industry is figuring out how to implement safeguards to ensure responsible deployment, rather than simply replacing the human connection.
This story about the former Apple employee is genuinely wild. So, someone left the company, joined a competitor, and somehow managed to access confidential hardware files using an authentication flaw.
It really highlights the absurdity of the situation. It shows that security doesn't just end when someone hits resign, especially when you factor in retained devices and lingering permissions.
It makes you wonder how many organizations are actually doing proper deprovisioning. If these flaws are being exploited, it points to a massive failure in the offboarding process.
Exactly. The real challenge isn't just the initial breach, but how organizations can implement processes that adapt to the reality of a remote, multi-cloud workforce.
It seems like the core issue is figuring out how to make those security protocols resilient enough for today's distributed environment. It's a huge reminder that security is always evolving. I just read this piece about deploying AI agents, and it sounds like the real bottleneck isn't the technology itself, but the organizational structure.
Exactly. Joe Rise argues that these agents often fail because they just reflect existing organizational silos and data fragmentation, rather than breaking them down.
So, if the agents are just mirrors of the company's flaws, what's the practical implication for teams trying to build these systems?
The takeaway is that success hinges on fixing data ownership and coordination first. If you don't align the data, the agent won't be a unifying force across departments.
It really pushes the focus from building slick AI to redesigning the workflows themselves. It sounds like organizational architecture is the real prerequisite.
Precisely. The challenge shifts from AI engineering to organizational design, making sure the agents are unifiers, not just isolated tools.
I just read about something pretty wild happening with xAI's Grok build CLI. It sounds like the tool automatically dumped entire code bases and commit histories into a Google Cloud bucket just while it was running.
It certainly does. The fact that it uploaded 5.1 GB of data for a 12 GB test repo just to facilitate the AI conversation really underscores a massive gap in transparency.
That jump from 192 kilobytes used for the actual chat to that much data uploaded makes you realize how much control users actually have over these development assistants.
Exactly. It highlights the critical need for users to understand exactly what data is being processed and where it is being sent, especially when dealing with sensitive source code and environment files.
It makes you wonder how enterprises are going to balance the convenience of these powerful AI tools with the absolute necessity of data security and privacy. I just read about this tool, the Fabrics Playground, which lets people test prompt injection attacks against AI agents. It sounds like a really fascinating, if slightly alarming, sandbox for security researchers.
It certainly is. It highlights that as these agents become more autonomous, the focus isn't just on model accuracy anymore. It's about establishing a security perimeter. It's a tangible way to see exactly where the vulnerabilities lie.
Exactly. It brings that abstract concern about AI safety down to a practical testing level. It makes you wonder how organizations are going to handle the inherent tension between making the AI usable and making it truly secure.
That tension is the core issue. If we make security too restrictive, the tools become unusable, and if we make them too permissive, the risk becomes unacceptable. It's a classic balancing act in system design.
So ultimately, this development pushes the conversation toward prioritizing robust security practices right from the initial design phase, rather than treating it as an afterthought.
Precisely. It seems the future of AI deployment will rely less on raw capability and more on building these safety nets in from the start.
We've got some rapid-fire updates for you right at the end.
Let's jump right into the tech hits.
Routine network maintenance can trigger outages due to hidden dependencies.
Google Cloud expands AI partnership with Samsung globally.
BitterCloud offers self-service software access via Slack.
Cisco outlines blueprint for intelligent workplaces using connected networks.
Microsoft CEO criticizes restrictions on AI model distillation.
OpenAI and Anthropic warn about Chinese companies cloning US AI models.
Anthropic localizes AI pricing for India.
Waze adds AI-powered navigation features.
Visa automates security operations using agentic AI.
Anthropic extends free access to premium AI model.
UnitPay simplifies AI pricing without coding billing infrastructure.
Asaurus enables users to run AI agents offline on Mac devices with local memory and automation.
AgentKey provides a single install for AI agents to access live web search, X, Reddit, YouTube, and on-chain data.
That's today's show, scripted and produced with AI by Tahababa.
You can read the full write-up anytime at blog.tehababa.com. And if you want these landing in your feed most days, hit subscribe.
See you next time.